So without further ado, we're going to welcome two very special angelic beings. I feel like they're angelic. See how you feel when you're listening to them. Please give a warm welcome for the spiritual understanding of suicide and our role as loved ones. Please welcome warmly Craig and Julie McMahon.
Perfect. Hello, good morning. So this is a topic that is global on this planet, and we've been asked to speak our channeled message to what we can do as part of the collective to help move compassion. Remember, compassion is that wanting to alleviate the suffering in others. So this talk, and each one of us that has come to this talk is actually holding space for someone else, for another. So thank you for doing your part with us to be in this space that's going to touch the collective consciousness on this planet, because this topic is a selfless topic. And everyone is having beautiful moments that are awakening them through this conference. But each and every one of you now is here to help a much greater purpose in this talk. So thank you.
Is that first one right there?
Oops. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Okay, so suicide is a collective breakdown. It's not just a singular event involving oneself, but a complex collective issue that involves us all as a society. People in today's society are more concerned with serving themselves and are blind to the suffering of others. We're living in a society where the distractions keep us so inundated and disconnected from each other. So this is a time where if you've been to some of our other talks, we've mentioned that we need to reconnect to one another, because suicide is actually a global disconnection. Each of us are here and have a light inside of us that is expressed through this limited time that we're living, and that peace is being forgotten in many. So the way that we're going to be able to get into this further is to realize that we need to create a loving network as a collective, one heartbeat, one mind, one connection to the pieces that are individually being expressed in each individual. It's your turn, baby.
Suicide is a collective breakdown. So do we make the time to listen to others while they're in their presence? This is a wonderful opportunity for us to recognize them, listen to them, not ignore them. Instead of ourselves, listen to what's going on. Do we ask about their well-being? Do we take the time at the grocery store if somebody is checking out our groceries?
I just want to make sure you guys can hear us.
Do you take the time to ask about their well-being? And do you offer them any type of help that you can at that limited space that you can help them? And you'd be surprised what happens. And we do this all the time. We practice wherever we go. We recognize that person, and you'd be surprised. All of a sudden, they become taller. Their eyes light up. I'm being recognized. Yes. So taking a genuine interest in another is extremely helpful.
This is what I was talking about earlier, is creating this loving network starts with each one of us and creating that connection. Today's new society is being built into a loving network by those that recognize, nurture, and serve one another. Every word, and every action and every deed carries an impact on those around you. This is that resonance field that we've been talking about. Our bodies are made up of neurons and electricity, and there's a vibration and an essence and a soul in every single one of us. And what we've failed to do, but what we are creating in this new world and this reconnection, is being able to resonate that heart frequency that's in every one of you out and open towards the person across from you. What this is going to do is going to spark the light in those around that feel that they're not seen, that they're not heard, and that they're lost. It actually is not as much work as one would think. It's actually opening your heart out and not pulling so much of that energy down and inside from an egoic space.
I'm supposed to talk on this.
Okay.
So I'd like to talk about reverence, having a deep respect for others. When you're with them and you're in their presence, can you express compassion? Can you genuinely respect them? Are you truly listening to them? Have that unconditionally love of compassion, respect, reverence.
And that respect that we're talking about is that recognition of yourself and the other. Are you aware of the impact that you have on the other? Like, do you take time to just feel outside of yourself and connect? We're going to get in. Go ahead, baby.
What the soul experiences in the suicide. What do they experience when they transition into the afterlife? So I've had a lot of research. We've done a lot of research. What do they experience? Because we all want to know what happens to a person that's considering suicide. What happens once they transition? Go ahead, baby.
So the suicidal soul, their emotional state is usually in a lower density. Sometimes they feel shame and guilt, anger, unworthiness, depression, a feeling of unloved, feeling like there's no reason to live. Their mental state is usually chaotic, uncontrollable thoughts and hopelessness, emptiness, trapped, anxious. These are just emotional states that resonate inside a person, but there's also states that are much higher that we haven't been embodying on this planet for a long time, feeling of peace, serenity, tranquility.
I think when you click it, there. Oh, went too far.
Please forgive us for the...
It's a different setup on our screen, so we're a little
Please
thrown off.
forgive us.
So you went over the spiritual side?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to click it one more time so we can get on that? So the human being consists of three basic bodies. There's the physical, which is the substance. It's the manifestation of the soul, the spirit, and not just a mechanical structure. Then there's the etheric body, which gives us our vitality, our life. That's what moves us around. That's what gets our body around, is the etheric. So when you wake up every day, it gives you that vitality of life. Then there's the astral, which is the consciousness that continues on with the etheric. It's the vital aspect of human evolution, and it's connected to that spiritual world.
The etheric and the astral bodies remain the same through the gate of death. They've terminated the physical body, however, the other bodies are fully intact. The etheric and the astral body continues through the gate of death and experiences purification, reflection, transformation from everything that they've learned on their life here. The soul and the consciousness continues its journey of self-awareness in the spiritual realm. So when we think that they have left in such a tragic ending on this plane of existence, everything from that etheric and knowledge base that was given, all the love, that the connections that they made, they carry that over the veil in their spirit. And all of that goes with you when you leave here.
The days following the death, they're going to go through their life review. They'll go through a purification process, a healing place of sorts. And then the atonement and forgiveness. That journey begins for them on into the spiritual realm.
They may visit their loved ones. You can still come and visit, especially when you first cross over. And so they're very well aware of their self and their wholeness when they cross over to that other side. And then they look back and they're able to see the reflection and the connection that they had. And they're a little bit more free from that space that they find themselves in. There's this immense field of grace that God has, a source energy, higher power, and it is permeable through all planes of existence, here on this physical plane, in the heavenly realms, and the other existence, dimensional space that God has. And that field of grace is all loving, fully encompassing, and limitless. And when they cross over, their soul is embraced in that space. We will continue, as Craig and I will go into what they experience from the self-awareness consciousness. But please know that that space is here. It's in the atmosphere that you're breathing, this God source connection to your spark of divinity is real. And they are perfectly aware of it when they cross over. Craig and I like to call it the big surprise. And the more we talk about it in all these talks, you'll start to realize that all of us are doing our part to bring down that forgetfulness of this infinite grace that we have. And when we start to embrace that grace that God has, and we start to become that grace ourselves, this is going to help alleviate the perceived suffering that's on this world that so many people are experiencing.
So, like Julie said, the big surprise. They immediately understand that there is a higher source of God. And they realize the wonderful opportunity that life is. And they realize now that they're loved. And that's one of the things that they kind of lack here. They don't feel loved, but when they get there, they feel loved. And that life is not just service to self. They realize that. Because once you get into the afterlife, they realize it's more of service to the other. What a wonderful thing that is. Here, it's service to self, service to self. Once in a while, we go, I want to serve someone. But over there, that's all they do. They serve others. And Jesus calls it a blessing. It's merely a blessing. And that they start to do this self-analysis, and they realize that they are still responsible for their self-evolution. They take accountability.
So as Craig was talking about this service that's in the afterlife, the soul realizes shortly after death that they are an infinite part of everyone and everything. Service is the best form of making right, we like to say. And in the afterlife, it's more than desire, it's an aspire that you want to be a part of that service because you see the infinite and the beauty and the love that you are blocked from. Souls tend to serve other souls that share in similar life experiences to reestablish that connection. So one of the things that I've learned through my spiritual connection with my guides and my son on the other side is that things correlate. So when someone who has taken their life through suicide crosses over, they are met with others who have had a similar experience. And those souls on the other side are there to greet them. And you would be surprised at how far these connections meet, because in this life we have friends and family, and those are connections. But on the other side, there is no Elvis and Julie. Over there, it's things that correlate to one another. And that service comes from that heart space that's created here. So those souls are met with other souls that have a very similar experience, and that resonance of connecting, that we have something in common, that the soul has a thread that is recognized in another soul, that is what they're met with. And what happens is that making right, those souls that have crossed over and have seen the big surprise, they get to express that gratitude and that love that they had a challenge expressing here to the souls that have crossed over and now need to be met with that. And that is the beautiful circle of life that we read, that circle of evolution. That is that connection to unity as through the one serves all. The micro and the macro are the same thing.
So you can go ahead and click it. So what's our role? Can you click it one more time?
Sure.
So the power of our thoughts and our emotion, it's really quite amazing. You know, we talk about sticks and stones can break my bones. But emotions and thoughts are very powerful. They go somewhere. They actually make an imprint. They actually change energy structures. So we studied Masaru Emoto's work, where, you can go ahead. He used natural spring water, and he did experiments where he put water in a container. And I'll let you go ahead with the...
So what he did was he froze water and he exposed the water to emotions, music, and then froze the water and looked at it under a microscope and seen the crystalline structures that were formed by thoughts or music or emotions expressed. And as you can see on the slide, and we are 65% water, the planet is 70% water. So if you can see just in a drop of water that you can create beautiful crystals that make up the energy of love and gratitude versus something that's considered evil, which is dark with very little light in the center. So if we start realizing the power of our thoughts and our words, and we choose the higher vibrational, practice it, even if you can't reach it, you don't understand what giving kindness to someone is on a genuine level. It takes practice, and that's what life is. Life is practice. Life is practice expressing through free will the choices we have to impact those around us. And if you look at it from that point, that you are here to practice through each individual outside of yourself with your words and your emotions and choosing those higher frequency to impact through your thoughts, you would be surprised at the resonant field that the universe is going to come back and meet you with, because you will be met with the same energy that you produce. And sometimes when you practice this so much, you will be creating a field that you will be attracting people that need that energy frequency. And when we continue to do this and realize that we can still put out our light, even though it doesn't seem like it makes sense as to what you will get out of it, you could be changing someone. Can you tell them the story about the flight, the long flight we took to get over here when we were in the plane for 10 hours? And the flight attendant was tired.
Yeah, it's a 10-hour flight, and she started out refreshed. She must have had good sleep, ready to go. And there's so much energy on a plane, And over the hours, we watched her. And it was as though she was invisible. And as the flight ended and we got off the plane, we said to her, "Thank you for serving us." And again, she was recognized. And it's like we gave her a shot of energy. She became awake. It's like she didn't need a nap anymore.
Yeah, so it was like she was just so tired, and then just making eye contact and saying, "Thank you for serving this senseless job of giving drinks and bumping around on a long flight." And you could just see it took the energy out. So when you recognize that and you genuinely make eye contact and just say thank you, it was like her shoulders perked up, and she was like you giving her a shot of coffee. And it was nothing except genuine connection, recognition, and actually gratitude. Gratitude, and what happens is the cells in your body, they resonate to the higher field So when you are that brighter or more giving or more kind person to someone in a lower state, even if they don't accept it, things are changing on the inside that you're not aware. And it's subtle. God is subtle. It's one of those things that you probably have already seen in your life. You'll be walking through and you'll see a rainbow or a little something get your attention. It's the subtleties that make sometimes the greatest impact.
So your thoughts are affecting those in the afterlife. If you have somebody that has transitioned through taking their own life, your thoughts are still connecting. Just like that Emoto's work, the happiness, the love, the compassion is still going to them. I had two brothers, Carrie and Alan. Carrie was 18 years old and he was killed in a car accident. Alan took his own life later on. And from a sibling point of view, I experienced what one version of what people projected said to me. Carrie was 18. He just finished high school. He actually just had a baby. 3 months. And when people talked about him, they talked about, oh, we love. He's got a baby. We wished he would have gone on and done more. There's a positive energy. Now with my other brother, Alan, I was really surprised at what people had said because he had 2 kids. And the first thing they said was, and someone was very rude. They actually said, oh, what a bleep for being so selfish. Now that selfish energy, you've seen the Emoto's work, is now traveling to one, maybe not Carrie, but to my brother Alan. So through communicating with my brother, I realized just how important it is to be mindful of our thoughts, what we say, and what we feel about someone that has transitioned. What emotional vibration are you emitting? Is it of lower density? Can we figure out ways? Can we get creative? Can we start to use our imagination and try to figure out the best things that we could think, say, or emote to them? Emoto. Isn't that funny? Emoto. So through my ITC studies, which is instrumental transcommunication, I got in communication and had conversations with many. And one of them was Kurt Cobain. And the reason why I bring up Kurt Cobain was because he committed suicide. And he said to me, Craig, he said, I had so many fans, so many. I get choked up because he said to me, Craig, it's not just a brother or a sister or a little family sending in this energy to me. It's a super huge collective consciousness that's sending it to him. If we can think, he said, can you do this for me, Craig? Can you tell the people in your documentary, can you tell the people to send me love? Think about the good music I gave you. I inspired you to do something. I got you up out of bed that day. The good things, and not poor Kurt. Courtney killed him. This craziness that goes on and on and on and on. It's just not true. So we really have to be considerate of what we think and say to these souls that are on the other side. And Kurt is a testament to large numbers of that energy. And he's having to kind of deal with it. So I tried to help in the documentary to talk about not pity, not sorrow, not misfortune, not pain, but love. Admiration for this inspiration that this young guy came here and did. Sure, he was in pain. But send him love.
So there's emotion. We have instrumentation now that can measure emotions and their state of frequency. And so we like to just briefly show you that there's a whole span of science meeting spirituality, showing that frequencies of emotions range in colors and vibrations, and they coordinate to suffering versus enlightenment. And these are just states of consciousness. And these correlate to the other side. And there's nothing that's judgmental over there. even if it says that there's an unfortunate realm, just imagine what the word fortunate means. These are states of awareness. So when you have someone that's in a low vibrational state, like Craig was explaining, the best thing we can do is send the thing that the love that everyone needs is that loving frequency, because it resonates through time and space. And on the other side, those souls are serving, they're aware, they're in the field of grace, and they are aware of the cause of the human collective consciousness as well as their own. So one of the best things we can do for the souls that have gone over, actually I have a slide on it, but you can read to them beautiful things, poetry, you can read to them higher learning, all of that consideration for them, they actually get, and it assists them to the higher vibrational state. They have angels and loved ones on the other side, but we can actually also consider pushing that for them, or helping assist them to change their state of consciousness.
So your thoughts are affecting them in the afterlife. We know that. You can still now assist them. It's not over. You can assist them beyond that gate of death. They need you. And we must liberate them through our thoughts and our actions. And I know this is such an old thing, but prayer, giving forgiveness, love, and gratitude, and like Julie alluded to, reading to them, it brings them into we're thinking about you. And I am still repairing and trying to help my brother who took his life. I'm still working with him in the afterlife. I had a shaman once tell me, do you know you can help your lineage? It's not just the people that are here on this planet. You can help those in the afterlife. And someone that has taken their life, they need extra care. Extra care. So prayer.
Sorry.
Never mind.
I got click Kathy.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and talk about compassion.
Oh, compassion, sympathy, and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent a lot of time working with these three wonderful words. And sympathy, there's the Hallmark cards, sympathy cards. It's such an interesting word. Compassion is probably the highest. It's that feeling that arises when you are confronted with another's suffering, but you feel motivated to relieve and help in any way you can. So that's the compassion element. Empathy is experiencing another's emotions as those they're your own. You're having a complete understanding of immersion from their perspective. Now, sympathy, feeling sorrow and pity for someone else's misfortune. If we are going to have sympathy, we have to be careful of sympathy, these pitfalls of sympathy, the pity, someone else's misfortune. I like to shift, and so does Julie. We like to shift right into compassion. We feel that is the superior approach.
Yeah, and that's talking about transcending. So if you feel that sympathy for someone, just know that there's even a higher elated state of compassion, which is, what can I do? What can I do to alleviate your suffering in some way? That's the service. It comes from the heart, and it comes from the genuine aspect that you feel connected.
So we want to talk about two things called discouragement and encouragement. Transcending discouragement to encouragement. These are higher states of consciousness. We'd like to shift from denial into acceptance. Anger into forgiveness. Sympathy into compassion. Pity into empathy. Fear into peace. And if we can transcend these emotions, now you're alongside the Godhead. That's encouragement.
Oops. In this transcendence of emotions of what we have the free will and the power to do this inside of us. So this is what we refer to as the Christ consciousness, and this isn't a religious connotation. It's, if you could see past the arguments of what religion says Christ is, there's a conscious beauty to unconditional love and compassion. And when we can set aside the fact that we have different religions on this planet and start to embody actually the teaching that's in all things that are good, then you will start to realize that the Christ consciousness is being able to rise to the point of compassion and unconditional love. And this has been said on this planet for thousands of years. And it takes each one of us just to practice it. And when we start to practice that, we're going to create that loving network. We're going to be that changed earth that we said on one of the slides, that the new earth is here. Instead of talking about the things that are wrong, we're all aware of it. We've been saying it. We're frustrated. We need to start using our throat, our words, our thoughts to create the frequency of the earth that we want to see, to give the love and the compassion as if it is second nature. It's actually our true nature. So remember some of the things. I know Craig and I have bumbled along this talk, and I'm so thankful that you've been gracious with us. But there's a couple things that we want to just continue to talk on.
So this is the higher level of the energy field. And as you can see, we started with acceptance, all the way up to the higher states.
Yes.
So there's flow, enlightenment, and higher states. These are the heavenly infinite realms.
We all know that there's that saying out there that we want to bring heaven on earth. And some of us are waiting for someone else to do it, a conscious higher being to do it. And I like to say, many have. Many people have already done. Many beings have come and tried to lift the consciousness of this world, and they've done their part. And their stories are beautiful. There's many. There's the story of Christ, the story of Buddha, Mahatma Gandhi, and each and every one of you. So as you can see on this slide, we've taken off the lower pain and suffering of duality and just given a brief glimpse of how to create the fabric of the heavenly realms. And I am a true believer, as Craig is, that the heavenly realms are made out of the loving connections that we make to one another. It's what we take across the veil, is all the loving golden bonds that we connect, all of the little things. Craig has done immense work through his videos of people that have died and come back. And they all say the same thing, that love is all that matters. And when we actually go into our heart space with our conscious mind, which is where all of our actions and our words and our considerations come from, and we start to choose these higher states of awareness, each and every one of us, each day that we practice creating the being that we are made of light and love. We saw that we are 65% water. And then we need light to survive. So if we start to choose that conscious peace and pull it into who we are and shine from your heart out towards the world, you will be creating your piece of creating the fabric of what we think is in a realm that we're going to. And we will. And I don't know if you believe in rebirth, but if you don't, the big surprise is, what if you had to come back and do it again, and we're still going to be doing the same things on this planet of creating a compassionate, connected network. So when we were asked to speak on suicide, the thing that we thought is, why not create a world where people feel connected through compassion and love?
So how do we help them? Let's remind ourselves to project compassion to this person that has taken their life. Send them unconditional love. No conditions. Don't try to judge or try to figure out exactly why. Just send them unconditional love. Give them acceptance. And then provide grace and be at peace.
Thank you.
We're going to be, where's our workshop?
We have a workshop at 1:15, and it's just a Q&A. So with any of our talks, and if you guys, actually, I think we have, do we have time for a Q&A? Oh, we have 5 minutes, so yes. Did you have a question? Okay.
Thank you so much. I want to ask about the spiritual realms with the souls and going into that field of God. I'm not entirely sure how you phrased it. And I loved your example of the Kurt Cobain and the collective consciousness and the energy that's being sent around the sadness and the grief around that. My question is, if the soul is in the field of consciousness, which is pure source, and they're vibrating at a higher frequency, how is that disbelief, grief, anger that's being projected up actually impacting the souls, or is it more affecting us and their service to us? I'd love to understand the impact of that.
Okay, so everything is interconnected. So if the first part is, if we're sending that collective consciousness up, the individual is still tied to all that it was a part of. So if you can imagine, collective consciousness is part of singular consciousness, all of it affects the whole. So where they are in a field of grace and immersed in that, they also still have their part of recognizing it and being open to it. So on the other side, sometimes it can be, some of us can find ourselves in a little bit of disconnect to move around. And that's why, if you believe in reincarnation, we come here again for a reset to practice more, because we go over, and so all conscious states are higher. So if they take over that with them and they're tied to the consciousness that we've impacted, it's a self-purification to work through that. And there's a lot of assistance in the forms of angels and archangels. And so it's all working together, if that makes sense. So if we do our part, it just helps that soul come in the next time or be more tied to it. So it's their impact that they left here. And once they go over that finish point of the life is kind of the starting point of the soul's recognition of itself. And it's tied to the impact we left here. So they're tied to the imprint of what they did with their life. And so if they get over there and they realize, I took my life, I was in these lower vibrational states, and now I see that I had a choice to be higher or to be more engaged, they're getting back the seeds that they sown. So if we can liberate them by giving them that which they couldn't plant, it's already shifting their evolution for the next rebirth or to the next evaluation. It's starting to shift the consciousness that they began with. Does that make sense?
So with that, in a way, being like, again, with the Kurt Cobain example, with him being tied to all of this energy of pity and despair and, would that almost like lengthen this refractory period where his soul has got to go through some kind of, as you say, like, self-recognition before reincarnation happens?
Well, with the Kurt Cobain phenomenon, it was just really startling to me. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure I know your question. Could you rephrase it? So,
in this period after death,
okay,
when you're going through this self-realization and seeing everything in that expanded perspective of, yes, I had the ability to make different choices, but I didn't see it then.
Yeah.
Now I'm in this unified field. I can see where I could have made different choices. And so assumably you're going through this period until you get to a certain point where you're then ready to reincarnate again. So my question was, is the energy that he was tied to, because you said, he was asking his fans to stop having these thoughts and emotions about him, was that almost like lengthening this period that he's got to go through?
And that's the thing that was so, this is it. This is how the experiment works. You can see firsthand, a little family can just send a couple energies, but he had such a huge collective consciousness. And unfortunately, he's having to deal with it. It's coming at him. And it's a little bit unfortunate, but he's getting help. He has Buddha, he told me, to help him through this. And Buddha has so much love. I think 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Good morning. Thank you very much for the enlightening talk. I'm a psychic medium and I do trance mediumship. I've had 2 experiences where I've channeled through suicide victims, and the families of these souls have been present at the time. The intense, incredible pain and sadness and emotion that the soul felt, one of the souls, a female, felt was so significant and so immense that I involuntarily, my physical body went into the sobbing and crying and uncontrollable weeping during the reading, during the trance meditation, the trance demonstration. And then when it was finished and I went over to the family afterwards, the soul still hadn't left me, was still lingering, and I went to greet the family and give them some, compassion and love and care, and that soul was still coming through, and it was a little bit like Ghost with Goldie, Whoopi Goldberg, and it was the first time I'd experienced this, and so while I was embracing the husband, I became very aware that it wasn't me. It was my physical body being used by the soul to embrace the husband. And then when I was speaking to the teenage daughters, I was actually plaiting, didn't realise it at the time, but I was standing behind her and I was plaiting the daughter's hair and tying it up into a ponytail. And it wasn't until afterwards that members of the audience who were close to me said, "That was really bizarre. Why were you doing that?" And I just said, "Doing what?" And they said, "You're plaiting the hair of the daughter and you were hugging the husband like way longer than what was normal." I reflect back on it and I realise that there was a lot of compassion and healing that occurred for those people, and they subsequently came back for another private session, but it left me feeling like, was that the right thing to do? Should I have stopped it from occurring? Should I have allowed that? I mean, I didn't. It sort of all happened so immediately and naturally that, like, from a psychic medium's point of view, if I feel that happening again, is that something that is good to continue to allow? Is that healing for the soul on the other side?
Of course.
It was healing for the family, I know, but was it healing for the soul?
Yes, because they are etheric energy. You have a physical body. And so when we, on the other side, kind of to tie your question in with it, there's got to be this level of empathy and sympathy that one must have for self to muster up will to reincarnate. So they need to connect to source to create a rebirth. So a lot of souls will hang around the earthly realm. We've in the Buddhist religions, they call it the hungry ghost, because they have that body to express this gift. They have this way of learning. So in your situation, and this is something that we can do, is give thanks and gratitude for all things and see the good in all things. What you gave was an opportunity for a physical release and a reconnection with their loved ones in a body, since they were disconnected from theirs. And you were a channel to allow them to express the loving stroking of the hair and the heart-to-heart hug when we hug our hearts to one to another. You were an open channel that allowed your body to express in a way that on the other side they feel, but they don't have that body, they don't have that loved one. So if I have an advice, I think we would say, be grateful that you were able to hold that. I'm sure it was spontaneous and it was sort of overwhelming, but you actually gave an opportunity, a blessing. They use this word blessing. It's what you can bestow on another. So you gave an opportunity to hug and connect. And anytime we cry, it's a heart release. It's actually expressing love. So that's the heart opening. So they're being able to express that through the tears and the sobbing of the loving connection this time, and not maybe the pain of disconnection from those loved ones. Yeah.
So, do you want to tell them when we're?
Yeah. So we will be at 1:15 if you guys want to continue Q&A. And we are speaking on the other stage a little bit later about why we are here. Okay.